I'm not an angry person by any means, but there was a point in time in my life where I would literally scream in my car in anger on my way to work because I hated the idea that I had to be in a certain place for 12 hours of the day. Because if I left that place, if I just decided I wanted to go home that day, I would potentially be fired, I wouldn't be able to afford my rent, and my whole life would come collapsing down. So literally, I was the definition of a slave. Just like how so many other people today who are stuck in these jobs that they don't want to be in are slaves to the money that they're making. They're slaves to their jobs so that they can afford their lives. And I want to share my story for how I got myself out of this situation of being a completely broke video editor that completely hated my life to doing well over $1 million in online sales and who now has two separate thriving online businesses. And this is no fluff. This is no guru nonsense. This is my true story. And I hope that it inspires you. So here it is. This YouTube channel is sponsored by my buds over at BrandCrowd. BrandCrowd's a logo maker tool. You type in the name of the logo that you want to have made, hit enter, thousands of logos will come up. You choose the logo that you like. You can edit and refine that logo as long as you want for free until it's perfect. I made this logo for my own clothing brand using BrandCrowd. If you're interested, head over to brandcrowd.com/apparel success and you can get 66% off at checkout. Life's hard, isn't it? It's even harder when you have to work a job that you can't stand in order to survive and pay for your life. And so you're literally a slave to it. And I think one of the reasons why I am where I am as an entrepreneur today is because I've worked so many horrible jobs and have been treated so bad and had to endure such just brutal work conditions that I was so motivated to make this work for me so that I never had to deal with that ever again. And I think that that's where a lot of people stand. I've worked on a whole bunch of different conveyor belts. I've worked in a whole bunch of different warehouses. One of them was at the beer store working night shift where we literally had to move 2,000 cases of beer by hand onto pallets every single night. Otherwise, they could legally fire you. I worked in waste management for 4 years where we literally take a ton of garbage, a literal ton of garbage, put it onto a table in a hot, sweaty room, and we had to sort through the garbage by hand to put all of the garbage into different bins so that we could audit it for the government. And I did this for 4 years, and it was horrible. And I remember just being like, why would anybody do this and not be motivated to do anything else? But so many of the people in that circumstance, for whatever reason, it just didn't light a fire under them to do anything else. They basically just accepted it as their lives. And I think that now with the internet and the way that the internet is, there's so much more opportunity for people to not have to do things that they don't want to do. For those of you who come back and watch this YouTube channel all the time, you may see me doing well with my clothing brand or say doing really well with this YouTube channel. And it just looks like I've figured it out fairly easily. But my journey as an entrepreneur started well before my clothing brand and well before this YouTube channel. While I was working those horrible jobs, it was my attempt to escape those jobs that I started about 6 or 7 different projects and businesses to try and make it work. And none of them succeeded. All of them failed in their own unique ways, and they were all learning experiences in order to get me to this point. And so my journey running my clothing brand is 6 years long, but my actual entrepreneurial experience, like the overarching journey, is more like 12 years long. I've never really been good with authority. Even my dad, we always get into conflicts all the time because he likes to sort of give me advice and tell me how to do things. And I've just always had this thing where anytime somebody tells me how to do something or what to do, my immediate impulse is to do something else. And, I was a good employee because I'd bite my lip and I wouldn't say anything back and I'd just do what I had to do. But it was literally out of necessity because I didn't want to get fired. The last job that I ever worked was as a video editor at TSN for SportsCenter. And now I'm a huge fan of sports. I like to watch hockey. This was like my dream job, okay? This is like landing the job where if you're not happy here, you're not going to be happy anywhere. I get to edit sports all day, just creating highlight reels. I'm in an environment of other people who like sports. And of course, in this environment, after about 6 months working this job, I absolutely could not stand it, okay? Having a boss telling me what to do, having to go to a certain place for a certain amount of hours every single day, and you had to be there, and they were 12-hour shifts, just staring at a computer, editing, just doing this boring, rudimentary work. I couldn't stand it. And so what I did is, while I was at that job, I started up my clothing brand called K-Bud Apparel. And I started it with the intention of building it big enough to the point where I could eventually leave my job. And every day that I'd go into work, while I was at work, I would be simultaneously, secretly working on my clothing brand. I would be working Instagram, trying to grow my Instagram following. I would be answering emails, designing new products, coming up with the brand concept, working on the website. In any downtime that I had at work, that's what I would be doing. And then when I'd go home from work, I would keep working on it. And I was basically building a bridge to eventually leave my job. So I worked this job for about 2 years, and every day while I was working, I was simultaneously grinding on my clothing brand. I would come home from work, shoot YouTube videos at like 2 o'clock in the morning, wake up the next morning, go to work, and I was just building everything as big as I possibly could so that I could leave. And in February of 2017, I left my job at TSN to pursue entrepreneurship full time. And when I left, it's not like I was a millionaire. It's not like I had a ton of money. I was basically scraping by to pay rent every month for the next like 12 to 24 months, just struggling, like barely affording rent, super low on money, like could barely afford anything. I was living in a little apartment that was like the size of this little room that was full of inventory, literally sleeping in sweaters. Like the clothing that I was selling was like in my bedroom, in boxes, like stored around my bed. I had no room to sleep and to live, basically. And I did that for about 12 months to 24 months, like right around a year or two. And what that allowed me to do is it freed up my time, because by not going to work, now I had all this free time to really focus on getting my brand and my YouTube channel to the next level. And it really took a lot of self-belief. Okay, like a lot of belief. And I don't recommend that everybody does this in this situation, because it is really risky. It is really scary to do that. And I do recommend, having more of a safety net there in place before leaving. But this was just my journey, because I was at the point in my job that I couldn't stand it so much that I was literally screaming in my car on the way home, and I just said, I can't do this anymore. I'd literally rather be homeless. I'd literally rather be on the streets if this doesn't work than keep going to this job that I can't stand. But from the day I quit my job, that moment on, I really got the sense that this was no longer a hobby for me. This was my life, and there was no going back, and I had to really take it seriously. And so from that moment on, I've just been grinding and grinding and grinding ever since then. And it was a slow grind to get this up to where I'm at now. And now, 5 or 6 years later, I'm at the point where, I have 2 multiple 6-figure businesses that I'm working on, and I don't have to go to work for anybody else. And I basically schedule my own time the way that I want to live. And I basically feel like I've just freed myself from these shackles that I was in. It feels like I've escaped the matrix. I've escaped this like prison that I was in before. And obviously, you're still kind of held down by your business, and you have to work on your business. And I realize that there's a part of life that it's necessary to make money in any way. But for me, this whole idea of being able to do these videos however I want, being able to work on my business and take my business in whatever direction I want is so freeing for me, and not having anybody telling me what to do. And so I wanted to just share that journey with you, just to sort of, just share that journey with you, and hopefully, you can relate to it and resonate with it. And it's something that you can look forward to doing in your own life if you haven't already. I hope you liked this video. If you did, please hit the like button for me and let me know a bit about your journey in the comments below. I'd love to hear about it, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace. My clothing brand marketing program is 50% off until the end of the year, and this is the last sale that I'm ever going to have. I break down real conversations I've had with celebrities and influencers to land endorsements for my own brand. I show you how to grow a real following on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube from scratch. And I show you how to set up, structure, and scale up Facebook ads and TikTok ads for your clothing brand. If you're interested, you can learn more about what's inside at clothingbrandmarketing.com, and I hope to see you inside.